Today we're gonna put this 4240 back together. We got a head gasket job. It was leaking coolant. It wasn't blown, but it was leaking. Here it is. It's been apart for about 2 weeks now. We sent the head out, got it going over, resurfaced the mating surface, got a new head gasket. We're gonna put it together. Hopefully we got all the right stuff. Should be good to go. John Deere 4240. It's got a turbo put on it. It's all changed up to a 4440. It's got a turbo and it's got an inline pump. First things first, we're gonna hit this, get this all cleaned up. We got the head gasket. We got a cork valve cover gasket here. Miscellaneous gaskets. We got the intake and exhaust gaskets, and also for the turbo. Yep, I guess we have some injector ones, and yeah, I think it's the whole kit. Sub kit, resilience. Yep, that's it. Just torqued down the head. We got 12.9 grade bolts in here, so we went up to 180. Sequenced it a few times, went over it twice. Looks good. Time to work at putting the valve train in. Next, we're going to do valve lash on the valve train. You need to get yourself a turning tool, and we got the feeler gauges. Intake is 0.018 and the exhaust is 0.028, I believe. We're going to crank over, and we're going to turn the engine with this turning tool at the top hole. Bottom hole is where you put the guide pin, which will push in when you get it at top dead center. It'll pop into a little spot, and that'll keep it from turning. There, I got the bolt to go in. So now it'll just pop in once you get it turned enough. So you'll be able to see what's going on here. This one's loose. This one's loose. This one's should be loose. This one's compressed. But you'll be able to tell which sequence you need to be on. So I'm going to pull out the timing pin. I'll be able to crank the motor over 180 degrees, and then I'll be able to put the pin in again and get the rest of them adjusted. So I adjusted the second round of what you could adjust, and I realized that the first time around I didn't do them quite the right way. I was thinking it was intake, exhaust, but it actually alternates. So I'm going to turn it back the other way, and then I'll be able to correct the first round, and then we'll be all finished up. So I got them all adjusted. You're going to want to make sure you get these good and tight. We've had trouble with them coming loose before, and just want to make sure they get tight so they don't work loose. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to put the valve cover on. Then we'll be all good to go. Got all my bolts started. Got those funky triangular washers in. So, yeah, there isn't very many bolts in these valve cover gaskets covers. So you have to make sure you get them the right amount of tightness. And make sure you have a good clean surface so that it doesn't leak, because there's barely enough bolts in it. Next up, we have the exhaust manifold we're going to put on. Got it all cleaned up there. Got the GoPro set up. We're going to shoot another angle here and get a video of it going. Next up, we got the intake manifold. We're going to put this on. We got these wacky spacers we got to add in there and double gaskets because it's a 4240 manifold, and they put spacers on to make it so that it reaches the right amount out to clear the manifold and make it so that it connects to the turbo correctly. So we're going to throw this on, torque it up, and move on. All right, we got all the intake, turbo, exhaust, everything's all together. Got to hook up the air filter yet. A couple other odds and ends. The new radiator we put in, we got to hook that up. Put the hoses on. Yep. Got the upper radiator hose hooked up. I hooked the feed line for the turbo up. I have it started here, but I wasn't sure how the fuel lines were going to go, so I figured I'd leave that loose because I might want to take that off. Set the injectors in. They got coppers on all the bottoms of them. Made sure that. Going to tighten them up. Then I can put the fuel lines on and the return line. Putting these return fittings on the injectors now. Then I can put the return line on, connect that all up. These are easy to snap off, so they don't got to be very tight. Return lines on. Got it all together without breaking any boots. Now I'm going to put all these clips up where they need to go. Now I'm ready for the injector lines. I'm going to send some air through these lines before we put them on, just to make sure there's no dirt in them. We're gonna put the coolant in, got the funnel, put the new, well, it's not new, but I put the drain plug in. All right, we're gonna put coolant in, put the drain plug back in. Let's see if I can get the pet cop right there. Switched it, tightened up the block one. Gonna put it in. We're gonna hook the batteries up, then we're gonna crank it, so we get some fuel coming out of here. Then we're gonna tighten them up and give it a start, see how it runs. friends. Got all the coolant in, got it running now. Although now I think I gotta drain the coolant again because it looks like this is still leaking too. So block heater's still leaking, so we gotta probably have to order parts for that, but I'm gonna let that go for the time being, and I'm gonna work at supporting this intake pipe so that we don't rub again on the radiator. So that's the next step. I'm gonna see what I can come up with, and then I'll start another video and let you know how it worked out. Drain the coolant out again for that block heater. Been working at this, trying to get this. I made this little bracket here. I'm gonna put that in right there and bolt it right to the top of the water jacket. Just gotta ream them holes out, and that'll help hold it this way from sliding over that towards it. But I'm gonna throw some kind of rubber in there or something to fasten it so that it doesn't rub through the pipe there. Even debated about just running the freaking self-tapper through it, even though, or that's not sealed the best, but it'd probably be all right. But I'm gonna do something there. I took the thread chaser through them holes, took a reamer through this to make those so they fit the 3/8 bolts. Gonna fasten that on there and see what we got. Okay, so I got my bracket done, wrapped it around, found an old bicycle tire tube, put that over top of the metal, sent a self-tapper right into there. Well, I drilled a hole first to make sure that I got the shavings out so it doesn't go through the turbo, but yeah, it looks basically factory if you ask me. Looks good. It'll hold it from hitting because it won't be able to come away from this way. It sort of holds it, so yeah, we'll be good to go. And it was hitting there earlier. I just loosened this up and separated it a little bit more, snugged it up. Good to go. Got the coolant back in, pulled the block heater plug out. I put a new O-ring on it, put it back in. Seems like we're holding now. Hopefully when it runs a heat cycle once, it'll continue to not leak. That would be a plus. So yep, now we can put the plug back on, put the hood on, stack, caps, air filler, and we're wrapping it up. We're gonna take it out here soon. This is the beauty right here. She's all together. Might rinse it off. Thought about it. Not sure. Gonna go grab some lunch. If you notice, we have a short stack and the roof kind of custom. It's just the flat metal because right there it gets real low. So we gotta be short to get under there. Looks like a whole new machine. Ready to go. Ready to go farming.